Hi, welcome to my channel, Mostly Mental Mary. I talk about mostly mental health, and my name is Mary. So how do you recover from a mental health episode, and how do you prevent them from happening? So prevention can be difficult because at some point you're going to get the flat tire. At some point your loved ones may die. At some point you're going to miss a deadline. And at some point life is going to suck. It's inevitable. But that doesn't mean that we can't prepare ourselves to be ready for it. On the daily, the way to prevent yourself from having any mental health issues, be anxiety, depression, etc., is by monitoring yourself in a mindful way. Mindfulness is basically a presence with yourself. Like instead of having your brain always focused on a task or always focused on the future or the past, your brain is focused on yourself, your body, your spirit, your mind, and your immediate situation in the present. You can work on this skill by practicing mindfulness meditation, but there's also other methods of mindfulness that you can look up, and I can make a video on that if that is something that is requested as well. So in this mindfulness, in this staying in the present, you're monitoring mainly four things. Now, you might have your own triggers, and I'll add mine, but everyone should be monitoring the four things. And you can remember it by the acronym HALT, H-A-L-T. You're monitoring whether or not you are hungry, H, whether or not you are angry, A, whether or not you are lonely, L, or whether or not you are tired, T. H-A-L-T. These four things, if you do not stay mindful and take care of them throughout the day, you are likely to trigger some mental health issues. Some of them are easier to take care of than others. For example, it's almost always easy to fix whether or not you are hungry if you are in a situation where you have access to food. It's not always easy to fix whether or not you are angry if you are in a situation that is continually angering you. So with each of these, you have to get comfortable with how you're going to try to manage this obstacle when it approaches. So hungry, I would suggest from personal experience, remember I'm just an advocate and not a professional. So hungry, for personal experience, I would suggest finding what your macronutrient is that you are missing that triggers your mental health. Macronutrients are the things that are protein, fats, and carbs. If you started a new diet that's low in one of these things and it's triggering difficulties with your mental health, you may not be able to sustain that diet. My most important macronutrient, and what I suspect is probably the most important macronutrient for a lot of people, is protein. Protein is absent in a lot of people's meals if it is something that is coming from a package or coming from a can, because protein is something that you get a lot from animal products and from plant products. So you can get a lot of protein from beans like edamame and peanuts and peanut butter. But as long as you are not vegan or vegetarian, I would suggest making sure that you include animal-based proteins throughout your day. I know that if my day is going to start off well, I have to make sure that I start in the morning with protein. So my general go-to is eggs. But if I cannot get myself to make eggs, I know that I'll go for a high fiber, high protein oatmeal, which is not as perfect, but still gives me enough protein to get to my next meal. Angry is the next one. This one's a bit more difficult to manage because anger is not necessarily something you can solve by eating like you can with hunger. Sometimes you're going to be in a situation where someone or something is making you angry, and you're going to have to figure out how to manage your anger in order to manage that situation and keep it from triggering you into a mental health episode. I've noticed that for both anxiety and for anger, taking out a big deep breath and pretending you're sinking into the floor with your muscles kind of gets you a little bit more grounded and brings you out of that anxiety, that anxious or that angry thought. So that's hungry and angry. Now we've got lonely. Lonely can be easily solved by building yourself a good support system. And you might have to be upfront with people and say, hey, you are someone who I need there to be a support person for me when my mental health acts up. Are you okay with having that responsibility? Because there are some friends where they're not capable, some family and friends that are not capable of serving that role for you. And that doesn't make them any less valid as a part of your life. But they might not be someone that you can call at 2 a.m. because you're having a panic attack. So figure out who in your support system are people that can handle mental health issues. And if you don't feel like you have anyone, then that would be a good time to start working on the friendships you do have and say, hey, I've struggled with mental health in the past. Is that something you'd ever be comfortable talking to me about? If you don't have that, then there are text-based and phone-based therapy sessions. If a therapist is your only source of communication, that is still better than having nothing. But having family and friends in your support system is an important thing to keep your health in check. And tired. You're supposed to get like 8 or 9 hours every night. And if you need more than that, you need more than that. And we live in a society that has become, you get bragging rights for how little sleep you get because that seems to mean that you are more productive. But if you're going to take care of your mental health, you need to keep yourself from being tired. Quit relying on coffee and energy drinks to give you the energy you're not getting because you're not going to bed at a decent time. Don't let yourself get so tired you fall into a mental health spiral. If anything, if you're too tired, call up your employer, call up your friends, call up your family or whatever you have made plans with and say, hey, I need a mental health day. I can't make it. And then go to sleep. And then make plans for what you're going to do that's going to make you happy and healthy when you get up. Personally, if I get tired, I'm going to have anxiety. It's almost a absolute. So I have to be really careful when I make plans that I'm going to give myself enough sleep. If I know I'm going to be out late on a girls' night, I plan that girls' night for the day before a day that I have nothing planned. So if I need to stay in bed all day, I can. Not everyone has the luxury because you have family and work and responsibilities. I'm sure that if you've looked at your schedule, you might realize that you're not giving enough time to sleep. Naps are healthy. Naps are okay. Take a nap. Take a nap. And not with your phone. And not with the TV on. A nap. With your eyes closed. Take a nap. So, Halt is how we prevent those mental health breakdowns. But like I said at the beginning of this video, sometimes stuff happens. And you have to deal with the mental health repercussions of stuff happening. Instead of saying, I'm never going to be depressed again, say, here is my plan in place for the next time I get depressed. Here is my plan in place for the next time I have a panic attack. Here is my plan in place for the next time I have an issue with my food. Here is my plan in place for the next time I feel like quitting my job. Here is my plan in place for the next time I spend all day in bed because I'm depressed. Here is my plan in place for the next time that someone rejects me and makes me self-harm. Here is my plan in place for the next time I refuse to bathe myself because I don't feel like I'm worth it. If you plan for what you're going to do when the bad happens, you'll feel less guilt when the bad eventually does happen, and you will have an easier time recovering from it. Sometimes you're going to get that flat tire, and that flat tire may cause you to have a panic attack. But if you understand that after your panic attack, you need a glass of water, some prayer, a phone call with your best friend, and a good meal, and a good night's sleep so that you can recover from that panic attack, then you know when that panic attack happens, that's what you give yourself so that you can recover. Otherwise, you might accidentally end up with a situation where you had a panic attack and then you have a second one because you swore up and down you'd never have another panic attack again. Remember HALT to keep yourself safe. Stop, halt what you're doing, and analyze whether or not you are hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And then put a plan into place when that doesn't work. All right, that's what I got for today. I love you all. Thanks for subscribing. Bye.